In a survival situation, you're going to have resources, and you may have a lot, you may have a few, but there's one resource that you need to pay attention to more than any of the other resources. That resource is your energy. All of the other resources you have are either going to add to or subtract from your energy. If you allow your energy to get to the bottom, then you have lost your survival situation. So energy is a very important thing. All of the decisions that you make, part of that decision is going to be based on how much energy is it going to take and what's going to be the payoff. So energy is very important. And that's the one that you have to watch more than any of the others. Pay attention to it. So there are actually two main ways to gain energy. One is to rest, and of course the other one is to eat. Now, resting can help you regain energy, but after a while, even that one isn't going to do it unless you eat. So I want to talk about food, and across the nation we have all kinds of different survival schools. In these survival schools, when they start talking about your energies and your food, one of the things they do is they highly stress protein. And unfortunately, it's because they don't totally understand nutrition, and that, now don't get me wrong, you can get energy from protein. But when you're trying to get the highest energy, protein's not your best source for energy. About 30 years ago, there was a study done where they took a big group of athletes, and they split the group into two sections. One of those halves, they actually fed a high protein diet for 3 days. The other group, they fed a high complex carbohydrate. Now, back at this time, they just knew that protein was your highest source of energy, and so what they did is after the 3 days, both groups, they put them on stationary bikes, and they had them ride as long as they could ride until they couldn't, and then they added up the total hours for the two different groups. And they're very surprised because they found out that the high complex carbohydrate way outdid the high protein. So they thought about it, and they thought, well, maybe it was just the athletes. So they switched the groups, the diets on the two groups. The ones that were on high protein now went over to high complex carbohydrate. And the ones that were on the high complex carbohydrate went over to high protein. They did that for 3 days. Then it was back on the bikes again, and they were very shocked when the high complex carbohydrate group again way outdid the high protein. Today, if you go and look at any marathon runner or swimmer or biker, any of those that are going to do this, they understand this from way back 30 years ago. And you look at what they eat for breakfast, and it's not going to be the high protein, it's going to be those high complex carbohydrates. You know, your starchy roots, your seeds, which are your grains, your nuts, your dark green leafy stuff. All of that actually has more energy in it than what the protein base does. Now, I've watched these guys on TV, and they'll be going after an animal, and as they go after the animal, they pass up some really good wild edible plants that have a lot of energy in it. And they would get done, and the animal would get away, and they'd come back to their camp, and they go to bed that night hungry because they didn't have anything, and they really passed up. It is very good for you to learn the plants in your area. Now, I have learned over 100 plants that are in my area, and it is really hard to walk across a field and not find something that you can eat. Now, it may not be your favorite, but it's at least something, and it'll give you energy. And so it is good to go and learn the different ones that are in your area. Now what happens if you're taking a trip and you're overseas and you're in a land that you're not familiar with? Well, there are a few things that you need to file away in your mind. There are certain groups that have no poisonous ones in them. And I'll touch on a few of these. We have, for instance, grass. There are no poisonous grasses worldwide. And so no matter where you're at, if you can identify grass, and in order to put it in the grass family, it's going to have a hollow stalk. It's going to have the segments to it, which close off the hollowness in between. You're going to have your leaves that come out from these segments, and the leaves are actually going to grow from the stalk out. Okay, they push the leaf out as they grow. Then you're going to have your seeds on the top, and that puts in the grass family. And so now, just because it has a long leaf doesn't mean it's in the grass family. Still, you got to look for that segmented stem and stuff like that. So there are no poisonous grasses. Now the stalk itself is going to be pretty much, to us, it's just going to be, as far as humans, going to be fiber. We don't, the animals, that eat that, they have multiple stomachs and they can process that through their multiple stomachs and they can actually get nutrition out of the stalk. But to us, it's pretty much just fiber. You can chew on it, and the juices you get from it, you can get some vitamins and stuff out. But the leaves are good. The one thing that I like is to go right down next to the root, pull that up. There's a little white end, and that little white end is kind of sweet. It has some sugar in it, and so I like those real well. There was a Japanese family that the father took the family out during the Second World War, and they went out in hiding, and they ended up in the hiding they ate mostly grass, and they sustained themselves on that. There's been a study going on up in Russia. They got some of the out groups, little communities and stuff, where some of these people are living as much as 116 years, and they got really long life up there. And one of the things they noticed is that in their diets they've got a lot of grass. So grass is something good, and worldwide they figure there's somewhere around 3,000 species of grass. And so grass is very good. Another one is there are the lettuce family. There are no poisonous lettuces. And, dandelion is in that group. Your sow thistles are in that group. Your prickly lettuce is in that group. And actually the lettuce group falls in the sunflower family. If you want to start studying those, study the sunflower family. The sunflower family is so large they had to break it up into tribes. And the chicory tribe of the sunflower family, that's the ones that's going to contain your lettuces. You can study into those. And so lettuces are something good there. Mustard. There are no poisonous mustards worldwide. Now the mustard family is huge. And so how do you tell mustard? Well, you got to look into the flower. And the flower is going to have 4 petals. And then underneath those petals, you're going to have the sepals that are right next to the petals that kind of hold them in place. And then inside the flower, you're going to see 6 stamen, 3 on each side. And then right in the middle, you're going to see 1 pistil. So if you have that flower recipe, 4 sepals, 4 petals, 6 stamen, and 1 pistil, you have something that's in the mustard family. And there are no poisonous mustards out there. So now it just becomes a point of whether it's palatable or not. Well, if you're really hungry, some of those things can taste pretty good. And they're very nutritious. The mustard family has been eaten for a long time. I'm here in the United States, and down the southern part they've had mustard greens forever. And I love mustard greens myself, and so they're a very good plant. and they're worldwide, and it's a very large group. So mustard is something, but you got to look for that flower. 4 sepals, 4 petals, and then 6 stamen and 1 pistil, and that puts it in there. Mints are another good one. Mints aren't always plattable, but in order to be in the mint family, it's got to have a square stem. Okay, a lot of times you're going to have wrinkly leaves on them, which are going to be opposites. In other words, they grow on opposite sides. A lot of times they'll not only be opposites, but then they'll alternate back and forth as they go up. And then the flowers are going to form in what they call a whorl, or in other words, all the way around the stem, it's going to have like a ball. And so the flowers in a whorl, and that puts it in the mint family. Now, the mint family is really good for teas and stuff, and you can also eat them if you wish. Now, some of them are kind of bitter, but there are no poisonous mints, so keep that in mind. So those are some things you can do, put in your mind, and worldwide you can go look for these types of things. You know, you may be in an area where you don't have any idea, but these types of things are going to help you. So again, our most important group is going to be your plant family, and they have the highest amounts of energy in them. And so one of the things I found though is when you're out hunting wild edibles and you find something, it doesn't run away. So keep that in mind. It's very important in a survival situation to keep your energy up, and those have more energy. You know, those starchy roots are just excellent. Those seeds are excellent. The nuts are excellent. You know, this video here we're making, we're going to put on DVD. It will show you how to process acorns. Tremendous source of energies in those things. So keep this in mind. It's something you have to do is keep your energy up, and that's the best food group is your plant group. So happy learning.